Fine, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Good.
So we last saw you before the weekend last week on Wednesday.
Yes.
What are we going to be talking about today?
So today we're going to be talking about something that I think a few of you out there are probably feeling right now. It's that time of year again when everyone starts to cough and sneeze and splutter. Welcome to the cold and flu season. Yeah?
It's kind of weird here because our season is so different to many other areas of the world, and being a kind of international community.
Yes.
It kind of is like a false feeling winter for some of us, but it is that time of year.
I mean, obviously recently we had that kind of weird kind of cloud and rainy weather. I personally love that because being British, I miss that. I mean, when you live there, you don't want it. You want the sun. And when you live here, you want the rain. It's always the same. But it was nice for a little while, wasn't it?
It is, certainly is. It's a break from the norm.
Yeah, it breaks things up. But yeah, we do tend to associate cold and flu season with the cold weather. But actually, I mean, these can be caught any time of year. And I want to ask you, do you actually know the difference between a cold and a flu?
I've always thought that perhaps the difference comes down to body temperature. If you have a fever, that's what I always associate it with. If I have a cold and I think, oh, I know it's just a cold, but if I think I've got flu, I think it's more associated with nausea even, or having a really high temperature.
And aches and pains. Well, basically, you can sort of use this analogy if you like. If you imagine like a sort of, think about trains, for example, okay? So like a toy train, if it hit you, it wouldn't be very painful, okay? So that's like your cold. That's your sneezes, your coughs, your sore head. But then if a freight train was to hit you, that's the flu. So you basically feel wiped, right? You've got aches, pains, and like you said, fever. You literally cannot get out of your bed. So although people tend to associate the two, even they don't even sometimes know the difference. I have the cold or I have the flu. There is a difference between them. And today, we'll discuss how to avoid getting ill in the first place, because prevention's always key. And then if you do, unfortunately, have this right now, or sometime you do get it, we'll let you know how to feel better quicker.
That sounds like good news all round.
Yeah, so first of all, like I said, prevention. So it's always nice to try and take care of these things. So do you know, Laura, the number one way to catch a cold?
Oh, by touching things and putting them on your face and in your mouth.
Ah, you're clever. She got it. She definitely got it. See, even myself, I always think, like, if you're talking to someone and they sort of cough or they sneeze, you automatically think, oh, gross, I'm going to catch this now. But it's not just breathing in someone else's cough or sneeze that can actually make you ill. You're much more likely to catch a cold by, like you said, Laura, touching something that has the cold or the flu virus on it, such as a door handle, especially in offices like desks and computers and mouses, and all of these things can really hold that virus for a long time. In fact, the cold virus can live on a surface for 24 hours. Yeah. So, if you touch that and then you go and touch your nose, your mouth, you could develop that into a cold if your immune system isn't really up to fighting that off. So in that case, then the best thing to do would be to practice
hand washing.
Yes, hygiene. Keeping yourself, always sort of washing your hands. I love to carry, I've got a bit of a fixation with this, the little hand gel sanitizer. I carry it everywhere, especially when I travel, because you think about aeroplanes. Yeah. I won't gross you out with that, actually. In fact, I will gross you out. Okay. I'm going to give you a little quiz now. Where do you think, on an aeroplane, the most germs are?
Well, you would automatically assume it's going to be in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking maybe it's not now. Where is it?
It's actually on the food tray table.
Oh, delicious.
Or, there. Or in some cases, it can also be on the remote control.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Or the TV. Because it's just constantly being touched and they're not really probably cleaning it properly. Yeah. So these places are really bad for catching things when you travel. It's not almost, people think it's in the air of the cabin.
Yes, yeah.
Or like you said, you just associate it with the bathroom. But I've gone off topic there. But because some of us are going to be traveling soon, just bear that in mind. Yeah. Carry a little gel hand sanitizer with you. Won't go wrong. For me, I get a bit creeped out because I wash my hands, let's say in a public bathroom, and then I have to still touch the door handle to get out.
Yeah, I know.
So I kind of think like, I'm using like my elbows. I'm going to get out of this bathroom. So that's why I have the hand gel, because I feel like I just feel like safer with it. But you're right. If you're going to wash your hands, make sure, you get around the rings and everything. And you should really be washing them for like 20 seconds to get rid of all of those sort of germs. So the antibacterial hand wipes could prove helpful in some travelling sort of cases, but definitely practice good hygiene. Now, something else that we might associate with cold and flu would be a certain food. What do you think that would be?
Lemsip, is it?
Yeah. If you can call that food stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
She's on the right thread there. citrus, think orange, think vitamin C, right? So people think,
course, yeah.
So it's funny because like Lemsip has been, well, it's lemon. It's promoted as being this, vitamin C is going to help you. Actually, it's not. Vitamin C has not been proven. It's a myth. So it's been proven that if you've actually already got the cold, then it doesn't really work at that stage to help you. Instead, you're best to ensure that you take a vitamin C through your food, through oranges, lemons, limes. Take this on a daily basis, either by food, like I said, or by supplement. So by taking this year round, actually studies have shown that you boost your immune system in the long term, and you will reduce the length of time you're actually ill. So I have a friend listening, Beth, out there, and she always has an orange every single morning and swears by it, and she never gets the cold. So let's just think maybe that could be
prevention. As you say, prevention's better than cure.
Exactly.
So maybe oranges might help.
Exactly. So if you do find yourself, smothered with the cold right now, sorry, that orange is not going to really take it away from you.
The good thing is, if you lose your taste buds, you can kind of taste orange still. That's probably like one of the good things.
That's true, and it feels nutritious because it's juicy and fresh and everything. So yeah, if you are suffering from a cold right now, people often say to me, can I still exercise? I have a bit of a thing about, I just don't believe you should exercise if you're ill at all. That includes headaches, migraines, nausea. I just feel like your body's telling you signs. It's probably not worth it. You're only going to have a cold for a couple of days. You can get back to exercising after that. So if you feel up to it, you could maybe go for like a relaxing walk. It would maybe make you feel a bit clearer with your nasal passages. But most of all, you should give yourself some time to rest and recover. If you do have a job and you're thinking about calling in sick, because going to work could obviously spread that infection, a general rule of thumb is that a cold will clear up on its own within about a week to 2 weeks maximum. So you probably don't need to go and see a doctor. You can probably just get through it, and you could maybe go to work and just sort of suffer through if you felt up to it. However, if it's really not shifting, then you may have, or if you do have underlying health issues, for example, you're pregnant, or you just really feel terrible, then it may be worth going to a doctor for a checkup.
I do have to say, when I see somebody walk into the office sniffling, red eyes, red nose, I'm like, be gone. You
are a little bit like that, but I don't know if you're like me, but you sort of feel like you can't be off unless you're really, really ill.
Yeah.
And a cold, like we've just said, it does spread, but if you're practicing proper hygiene, you can be around people who have colds. Yeah. My husband's been sick and I've never caught anything. You have to just be a little bit careful. So, if you do have the cold then, so we're talking about the cold at the moment, not the flu. If you do have the cold then, so how do you fight it? Yeah? So like I've said, you're not going to exercise and compromise your immune system. You're going to take some rest. So you want to first of all take some paracetamol with some food and water. Okay, so you've got to drink plenty of water when you have a cold. So definitely around 2 to 3 litres. Think about swapping your normal tea or coffee for some hot water with honey and lemon. That is a little bit of vitamin C for you, but it's definitely going to help soothe your throat as well if that's sore. So you can always try something my father likes to always do when he has a cold, and that is a DIY steam bath. Okay, so you can use a sink in your bathroom or just a bowl, and you can buy these little menthol crystals that are quite nice. You can put them in the bowl of hot water, steaming hot water, and place a towel over your head. So you're just going to inhale and exhale this vapor. It's a really nice cleanse for your nasal passage.
Feels nice for the skin as well.
Yeah, it is. And whether or not it works, I don't know. I certainly have felt when I've done it before that it does move things a bit quicker through, and the nose can kind of like run a little bit quicker, and you probably get over the cold quicker by doing that. So you can definitely try that, and you can get those little menthol crystals from the chemist. They're quite nice actually. So that's definitely how to fight the flu. Now that's how to fight the cold. If it's the flu that you have, then you really are going to need to rest because you're going to feel pretty awful right now. So definitely you want to relax and rest and accept that you really need to be hidden away for like 72 hours, a couple of days, where you're just going to stock up with tissues, maybe an eye mask, and hide under your duvet, watch a couple of DVDs, and really try not to exercise.
Quite nice.
I do, don't I? It's like a holiday. I'm going away for a couple of days. I won't be around.
Cell phone off.
I don't have the energy to text.
Anyone who's had flu, which is most people, it's just horrible.
Gosh, it is. And you tend to sleep it off, actually. For those sort of couple of days, you don't even eat much. You just sleep it off, and you can lose a lot of weight. But you are going to have to take care of your body, and you need to rest because your body will release chemicals called cytokines, which attack virus cells. So the more you rest, the more of these are released into your body, and they will fight for you. That's why you really cannot be exercising or even be out of your bed. I always suggest drinking some green tea. Actually, research has proven that 2 to 3 cups of that can help speed up your recovery time. So, I love my super brew of green tea. But also with that tea comes the hydration. Because when we're fighting a virus like the flu, you actually become dehydrated quicker than normal. You might not think that you're lying in a bed, but your body is doing some amount of work. Have you ever felt like tender?
Yes.
To the touch?
Yeah, your skin feels almost bruised, or then you're hot, you're cold, you might be sweating. When you even feel cold, you're sweating. So
that's
losing
right.
water, I think, like you say, your body's just churning away, kind of keep
control
temperature and all.
And some research has found that you can even you can lose so much water that you have to drink almost double what you normally would. So I'm going to say out there, definitely 3 to 4 litres. And within that, you should have some electrolytes. We spoke about electrolytes in the show before. That is replacing your sodium in your body. So you can get this through coconut water, through things like Gatorade. When I was a kid, you're probably the same, Laura, in the UK, we used to have this thing. It was always Lucozade.
Yes, yeah.
Whenever you were sick, you got Lucozade.
Always Lucozade. Yeah, it was true.
And it kind of made you feel better. I don't know if it was a placebo or not, but it made you feel better. It gives you a little boost. So you may also have heard the old wives' tale: feed a cold, starve a fever. You know this, and do you think it's true?
Definitely. I think anyway, you haven't really got an appetite when you've got a fever and when you've got the flu, but when you've got a cold, you actually want things like soup and bread, and you want to help your throat. It feels nice to have something kind of soothe your throat or kind of clear away perhaps some of the mucus and things you've got. So it kind of for me makes sense. Feed a cold, starve a fever.
So it is definitely a famous old wives' tale, but I'm going to just tell you, Laura, it's actually a total myth.
No way.
Yes, way. Oh. I don't know about you, but often when I've not really had too many flus, and I've not had the cold for a long time, touch wood. But when we are fighting any form of illness, our body needs a lot of energy. So, but actually your body needs it to fight and to stay strong. You really must eat to keep your strength up. That's another common phrase, keep your strength up. So you have to bolster your immune system, and things like chicken soup are great because the chicken will provide protein and hydration in the form of water. So you've often heard of people having chicken soup when they're not feeling well. So I'm going to say right now, whether you've got a cold or the flu, you do need to eat, just to give yourself that energy. And you can also take an over-the-counter ibuprofen to relieve head or muscle aches as well, because that's going to make you feel, and again, you can't take ibuprofen without having food in your system. So you've got to have the both. So definitely, I'm afraid there's a myth in that one. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's still good news. We can eat. We can eat all the time. So, once you do start to feel on the mend, you can start doing some light stretching, take a little brief walk, or try and work from home maybe to begin with. Start to get back to more solid food. So maybe you've been having soup and liquid. Now you can have things like scrambled egg, which is quite soft on the stomach, but also, nutrient rich as well. Most flus run their course 9 to 10 days, so you should really only be returning to work when you feel up to it, because you'll just set yourself back if you don't. So unlike the cold, the flu is like, again, I said, that freight train hitting you. You're just going to make yourself a lot worse if you keep working through it. So, you've been ill, so, give yourself a break and expect, lower levels of productivity, and you're probably going to feel a bit fatigued still for a couple of weeks because your body's been out of whack. So it takes a little bit of time to get back into it. You're just not going to be yourself straight away. So, follow a healthy diet as well that contains a variety of vitamin-rich foods, such as fruit and vegetables. Exercise regularly, stay hydrated, rest. All of these things will prevent you from hopefully becoming ill. And by following this kind of lifestyle, you're going to boost your immunity levels, and that should help you with your stamina as well, so you don't catch cold and flus as often as people who don't follow this kind of lifestyle.
Well, thankfully, I've not been ill for a little while.
I know, me neither.
Because you just never know. I think last time I'd said that I did get sick, so I'm just I'll just be quiet and sit in the corner. But all very good tips and advice. And if you have any home remedies you swear by,
definitely
you have
let us know.
Flu or cold, let us know.
I love to hear these things.
92126 or at QF Radio 2 on Twitter, and we can share your old, your grandmother's method of
all these methods. I could tell you a few Scottish ones, but I'm not gonna bother. But listen, everyone out there, stay healthy, and we'll see you next on the show on Wednesday.
See you Wednesday.
Okay.